January 3rd, 2026, 2 a.m., total darkness in Caracas. While the world was sleeping, 150 U.S. aircraft were screaming over the Venezuelan coast. Operation Absolute Resolve, elite units, Delta Force, the power grid cut by cyber warfare, and a pre-dawn raid that snatched Nicolas Maduro from his compound before he could reach his steel-lined panic room. The president called it a flawless mission, a win for narco-justice, a headline-grabbing spectacle of American might. But while the Pentagon was showing absolute resolve in Venezuela, the Department of Justice was showing absolute silence in Washington. 2 weeks earlier, December 19th, was the legal deadline for the Epstein Files Transparency Act. 2 million documents promised to the American people, but as of this morning, less than 1% has been released. The meta-ledger isn't here to talk about the flashbangs in Caracas. We're here to talk about what those explosions were designed to drown out, because the tiny fraction of files that did leak contain the names and the dates that the elite are desperate to bury. Let's look at the actual ledger. Newly released emails from the Southern District of New York reveal a reality that contradicts years of campaign trail denials. A federal prosecutor's internal note from 2020 was finally unsealed. It reveals that Donald Trump didn't just fly on the Lolita Express once or twice. The DOJ's own logs confirm he was on that jet at least 8 times between 1993 and 97. On one flight in 93, Trump and Epstein were the only 2 passengers listed. On another, they were joined by a redacted individual, aged just 20 years old. It gets deeper. Internal emails from November 2025 suggest the falling out over a real estate deal was a carefully crafted narrative. In a 2011 email to Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein called Trump the dog that hasn't barked. He wrote, quote, "The victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned." And in a 2019 email to author Michael Wolff, Epstein was even more direct. Quote, "Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. So why?" On January 3rd, did the administration launch a massive military raid without notifying Congress? Why did 16 specific files suddenly vanish from the DOJ's public portal in late December, including a notorious photo of Trump and Epstein together at Mar-a-Lago? The same Mar-a-Lago where Virginia Giuffre was recruited as a locker room attendant in the spa, before being trafficked into Epstein's world. History tells us that when the court dockets get too hot, the war rooms get busy. In 1998, Bill Clinton authorized cruise missile strikes on Sudan exactly 72 hours after his grand jury testimony in the Lewinsky scandal. In 1973, Richard Nixon intensified the secret bombing of Cambodia just as the Watergate hearings began to dismantle his presidency. He dropped more tonnage on a neutral country than was dropped on Germany in World War II, simply to keep the cameras off the corruption at home. Dear Washington, we have played these games before. You trade a foreign spectacle for domestic justice. You use the B-1B bombers in Venezuela to mask the redactions in New York. You hope that if you capture a dictator, we'll forget the signatures on the flight logs. The question is no longer what is in the files. The question is, why is the most powerful man in the world so afraid of them? We haven't forgotten. We're still reading the ledger.
With Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18.
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.